This Sunday is the 10th of Tevet. The 10th of Tevet marks the first of 4 fast days that commemorate different historical events surrounding the destruction of the first Beit HaMikdash in 586 BCE. I would like to provide a brief recap of these events and then turn to what makes Asara b'Tevet particularly worthy of commemoration. The last chapter of Melachim Bet, 2 Kings, opens with the following pasuk: Vayhi bishnat hatshi'it lemalko, b'chodesh ha'asiri ba'asor lachodesh, ba'nevuchadnezzar melech Bavel, hu v'kol chelo al Yerushalayim, vayichan aleha vayivnu aleha daik saviv. It was during the 9th year of Tzidkiyahu's reign, in the 10th month on the 10th day, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Bavel, along with his army, came to Jerusalem, encamped upon it, and built a siege around it. Thus, the 10th of Tevet commemorates the day on which Jerusalem fell under siege. The text continues, Vatavo ha'ir b'matzor ad ashtei asrei shana lemelech Tzidkiyahu. The city came under siege until the 11th year of Tzidkiyahu's reign. At this point, the siege was broken, and the Babylonians breached the walls of Jerusalem and began to fight its inhabitants. This is one of the incidents commemorated on the 17th of Tammuz, Shiva Asar b'Tammuz, the second of the 4 fasts which relate to the end of the First Temple period. 3 weeks later is Tisha B'Av, the 9th of Av, the day on which we commemorate, among other historical events, the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash and the exile of the vast majority of the Jewish population. Lastly, approximately 2 months later, on the 3rd of Tishrei, we mark the assassination of Gedaliah, a Jew appointed by the Babylonians to rule over the poorest of the poor, the few Jews who remained in Israel after the temple was destroyed. As a result of this assassination, the remaining population fled to Egypt, leaving Jerusalem without a Jewish presence for the first time since the days of King David. Out of these 4 dates, the 10th of Tevet seems the most out of place. I can easily understand why we mourn the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash and the end of a Jewish presence in our homeland. Even the 17th of Tammuz, the end of the siege, is readily explainable, for that is the date on which the end was palatable, on which the destruction of the people began, and the fate of the temple became just a matter of time. Yet the 10th of Tevet marks the beginning of a war effort that lasted for over a year, a valiant resistance on the part of the Jewish people. What makes this day worthy of a fast? I actually think that the power of the day is rooted precisely in the fact that at face value, the events of the day pale in comparison to the events that follow. Asara b'Tevet is the slow beginning of the inevitable end. It is a time where, distracted by resistance and survival efforts, the population of Jerusalem failed to understand what was happening to them. There is no recorded attempt of tshuva, no recognition that the prophecies of Yirmiyahu were actualizing in front of the Jewish people's eyes. In this vein, Rav Aaron Lichtenstein of blessed memory said, "The message of this commemoration is that after the destruction, we must trace its sources and mark its stages. We must look backwards to events that are not earth-shattering and perceive how the seeds of the destruction on the 9th of Av were planted on the 10th of Tevet. The more we study history, the more we learn that we should not concentrate only on the final act, the cataclysmic event itself, but also on all the stages that led up to it. Specifically that which does not seem so terrible, that which we can live with. That is what requires rectification on the 10th of Tevet. The obligation of repentance on this day involves seeing prospectively that which may usually be seen only in retrospect." End quote. This Asara b'Tevet, our challenge and opportunity is to look at our lives and try to spot the areas that are beginning to unravel, to catch our missteps before they become irretrievable mistakes. I wish you all an easy, meaningful, and introspective fast.